Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles, and today we're going to put my balls to work. We're going to talk all about breeding snakes. That's why we're going to put my balls to work, my ball pythons. Get your mind out the gutter. And we're going to start making babies. It's that time of year. But before we get into that, first of all, I got to give a quick shout out and a huge thanks to Shane Lambert. Shane Lambert's one of our newest Patreon members, who is one of our Zeus level subscribers. One of two we have, and that thing tops out at 10. So Shane, you're the man, buddy. And I also got to give you a second shout out because Shane, not only is he a Zeus level subscriber, which is awesome, but when I did a post on our Patreon about how much we had raised for hair for the holidays, which we're getting those Christmas gifts for children, that dude jumped on there and doubled it. So you, sir, are awesome. Like, awesome not just for me, but you basically just gave a family Christmas all on your own. That's like, I can't thank you enough for that. That floored me. So, but we do got to talk about some ball python breeding, and not just me saying thanks. Let's get into some ball python breeding. First thing people always want to ask me is, how big should I let my females get before breeding? And if you start researching that question, you're going to get answers that are all over the map. The answers you're going to find are 2,000 grams, 1,500 grams, 1,200 grams, and the ever popular on the internet forums, there's no scales in Africa. I want to dispute that. There are actually scales in Africa. I guarantee you, if you go to Africa and you go into people's houses, some of them will actually have scales. So it is not a true statement. I promise there's scales in Africa. It is true that ball pythons don't crawl on the said scale, look at their weight, and go, okay, it's okay for me to make babies now. That's a fact. For me, I like to monitor my female's weight. I like to breed at 1,500 grams. Here's why I pick that. One, it's safe. 1,500 grams, you have a big, healthy female. If you breed her there, she's going to have probably a good clutch for you, and then she has a really good chance of putting that weight back on next year, getting back to weight, and being even bigger and breeding again for you. I don't like to put my animals at risk for the sake of my pocketbook. So I wait to 1,500 grams. 2,000 grams, I got females that will never ever hit that, okay? I got some that will go double that. But I just think that's a little bit overkill for what I've done. I've never had a snake, a ball python. Never had a ball python go egg bound at 1,500 grams plus. Never had one go egg bound at less than that, but I don't typically breed less than that. 1,200 grams, for me personally, it's a little on the light side. If you're going to do it, if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to breed at 1,200 grams, I don't think you can set a hard and fast line in the sand at 1,200 grams, kind of like you can at 1,500 grams. And what I mean is, if you got a snake that's at 1,200 grams and it's not eating really good, I'm not going to breed that one. If it's maybe 1,350, 1,400 grams and it's pounding a medium rat every time I open the tub, I may go ahead and start that because I know we're going to be at that weight before anything ticks. But I don't like going as early as 1,200. Some people have. They've had great success, and you know what? That's great for them. Different strokes for different folks, and I'm not, by all means, I am not the end-all, be-all, world's best ball python breeder and gift everything. I don't think I am. I don't pretend to be, but I like my girls to be at 1,500 grams. To give you an idea of what that looks like, I'll take my handy dandy scale here, turn that thing on. You gotta find me a handy dandy bowl. I guess it would help if I turn this where you can see it, right? And we'll just go ahead and zero that. I said zero that. There it went, zeroed that. So we'll take out my albino holdback. You look at the snake, say she's growing pretty good. Wonder if she's ready yet this year. I got to clean her tub too, and you need some water. Great. Get that back zeroed. Put her in the tub. And you can see she is at 1,238 grams. Now, that means there are people who go, huh, snake's ready to breed. Look at this girl. I don't want to put her through that yet. Okay? She's only 2 years old. I want her to be a little bit bigger. She may hit size late this season, and I may actually miss this year with her. And you know what? If I miss this year because I want to wait for her to be a little bit bigger, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I could have had a clutch. Yeah, maybe I could have got 4 extra eggs this year. But you know what? I think it's better to let her be fully healthy. Let her be up to size, know her body's going to be able to do that. And this is the example I always like to use. Is she mature enough to breed? Probably. Could she get knocked up? Probably. But let's look at humans, okay? All right? We all know, if you look at biology, like you can have 12 and 13-year-old humans that technically could have a baby, but it's terrible for their body and it's not time. It is a horrible, horrible thing, right? So just because they're able to do it doesn't mean it's the right time. Same with these guys. I want her to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more mature before we start doing things like that. All right, give me some other sizes. Oh, not you two. You two are doing something else. Let me look here. I'll show you another albino. Now this is an albino. I don't even need to put on the scale. I know she's up to size. You can see her body type. She looks good. Looks like she's going into a little bit of a shed. But we'll put her scale back on. We'll weigh her anyway, just to give you guys an idea. Get in there. And you can see she's sitting at 2503. So she is ready to be a rock star for us. She's also eating really good right now at that size. She'll probably put on another 400 or 500 grams before you get her fully bred. So no worries there. So if you can find one that's going to be maybe a first time breeder this year, this is one. So this will give you an idea of what you're looking for visually on all the sizes. This is our spider het snow female. And if I drop her on this scale, you're going to see she comes in 1493. Oh, nope, settle in. It's because Kurt hit it for a second. 1493. So I would say, you know what? That 7 grams could be if she's drank today, if she's pooped. She's ready to rock. We actually have started pairing her. She also just shed and took a dump. So her weight is empty. So that is the one that I'm going to breed. That's 7 grams is close enough to 1500 for me. So that's what I look for in my females. The other thing is age. Okay, age is an important factor as well. You can see she is a 2015. So she was born in 15, so she's almost all of 15, all of 16, most of 17. She's about 2.5 years. She's going into her 3rd season, when she's going to have babies in 18, if she goes. So we're talking a 3-year-old girl. I've bred as early as 2. If they're at weight and healthy and eating good, most time it takes 3. I've had a few take 4. I'm never going to breed one that's a year old. Always at least 2, most likely 3, and that's what we look for. Kurt, any questions on the females?
Is there, like, can you get the females too big?
I don't think so. I've heard of some people saying that if they're overweight, they may not produce as well and things of that nature, but personally that hasn't been my experience. My experience is I can get females to take good sized meals. Now, I'm not talking power feeding. I am not an advocate for power feeding. I think it can cause a buildup of fat, which can be bad for any animal. But, you know, just a nice, good, healthy weight gain, I've had better luck. My biggest girls produce my biggest clutches. Hands down, with few exceptions, as long as they're healthy and not just a blob of fat. And I get that way by feeding them pretty much weekly and feeding them an adequate size meal for them. Not trying to overstuff them, not trying to feed every 3 days. I mean, just very consistent feeding schedule. So I don't think you can get them too big. I mean, I haven't had that be a problem for me. Let's talk about the males, though. Males are a different story. I'll show you the smallest male I am currently breeding, if he's not busy. He is not. I want you to come look at this too. We're going to get a little off topic, and we're going to talk about snakes locking. Tubs are always a mess during breeding season. And you can see his tail's turned up, and it looks like it might be under her tail. So this is a very good example, because you can see it's not. That is not a lock. I'll show you what is a lock. So when you're looking, he's not locked up to her right now. Now, he has locked up to her, but at this point in time, he is not. Well, let's look at these 2 snakes. That's what you're kind of looking for. His tail is curled underneath, flipped up. Their cloacas are together. The tails are entwined. There is no doubt that right now they're breeding. I know they are. That's perfect. That is picture perfect what you want to see when it comes time. Now let's look at this little guy. He's a small snake. He's a little bitty male. Let's put him on the scale really quick. Kurt, this is our spider het true ghost, breeding our ghost female. Most people tend to say you want your males to be about 600 grams, which you can see he's at 621. This is about the smallest most people want to go. I've gone smaller if they're eating well. Now, one thing I like to look for is I simply take the male. I know, buddy, you don't like this. I'm exposing you to the world on camera. It's a good thing the snakes can't sue for sexual harassment. And I pop the hemipenes, and do you see that white right here on this one, over here especially? That little white glob? That's a sperm plug. And there's some scent coming too. And so if he's producing good sperm plugs, then I know that he is a viable, mature male. And he's ready to put those sperm plugs in that female and make me some babies, right? That's what I look for in my boys. So what I'm looking for is always size, health, and the reason for the size on the males is mostly because they gotta have some energy stored up, or you can wear them out. You can breed them to death. And I'll have males that'll eat during the breed season. I'll have males that won't. And sometimes with the male, if I'm breeding him and he's not eating, and I see him start to kind of look, I pull him out. I get him eating for a few weeks, a few months first, get him back fat, and then put him back in the rotation. If I have to shut a male down, them's the breaks. Shut a male down. Ain't that big of a deal. It does happen. So there's kind of that. All right, Kurt, any questions about anything we've talked about on breeding?
How about, can a male snake be too big to breed?
Can a male snake, I've heard that. I've heard people say if you get a male too big, he won't breed. Wrong, Ted. Let me show you this boy here. This is a gargantuan male. For a male, this guy's massive. Remember, I'm 6'2". He's a big snake for a male. We'll weigh him too. Come on, buddy. He's at 2,500 grams for a male. Okay, and he grows every year. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's too big for a male. He's going to get lazy and not breed. And I've heard that. But again, I think it comes down to health. He's not fat. He's strong. He's healthy. Good fat reserves. But he's not obese. This thing would breed a garden hose. Every year I've had him, I've bred him. Every year I've bred him, he's produced viable eggs. Every female he's had, I don't get a lot of slugs from or anything like that, and he breeds very, very happily. Like I say, he'd breed a rope. So I haven't had that experience, but other people have. And I think what it comes down to, personally, and again, this is not based on science, based on personal experience, I think what it boils down to is if you have a male that's overweight from power feeding, if you have a male that grew a lot because you just did nothing but power feed him, this male was raised, just like I said, feeding once a week, very consistent, appropriate size meals, then he's going to function. If he gets overweight from going to McDonald's too often, easy food coming his way, he's not going to be a good breeder. So again, I think it's more health of the snake and the consistency in which you grow them. It's just taking your time and being patient. I don't think you'll have problems even with a big male. I like big males, actually. The reason I like big males is when I pair him to a big female, which I've done for several years to make killer bees, I have babies that get ready in a lot of times 2 years because all the babies are born big, they're born healthy, and they tend to eat like freight trains. So I love using him in my project. Just awesome, awesome snake. All right, Kurt, any more questions?
How about breeding like siblings or parents to, inbreeding?
Is an excellent question. And I get, people who are, YouTube's great. I love YouTube. But people come on here and they'll watch a video without doing any research and be like, oh my God, you're breeding a brother and sister together or a mother and father together or anything like that and you're a horrible human being. These aren't mammals, okay? They do that in the wild because it's almost like they're all passing the same genetic material in the area. I use rattlesnakes for an example. They're used communal dens, ancestral dens that they return to, and so it's the same breeding group. That's how you get different localities showing different things. So the DNA pool of breeding isn't overly high anyway, so there's going to be some inbreeding, some crossbreeding. The DNA is so diverse, it doesn't have the same effect it does on people, plus it's a simplified kind of organism going on, so you don't have the same type of things. Now, can you overdo that? Absolutely. You have to bring in an outcross, so I can't just go, okay, I'm going to breed these two snakes, cool, have some babies, I'm going to take those brothers and sisters, breed them together, cool, have some babies, I'm going to take their offspring, breed them together. You're going to start running into some problems. But I can take these two snakes, breed them over here, take their siblings, breed together, breed down one generation, outcross here, bring that back over here and come over here, which I know it gets to be a convoluted spider web, but I can do that. And that's one of the reasons why it's very important to track what you're doing, and that way you know what is what. And here's how we do that with the animals we produce. Whoever Carl wants to show you something, or show them something, you already know. Like this animal, okay? You see it just has a year. It's because this is an animal I purchased. Oh, look, I'm not trying to flip you all the bird. Maybe I should use that finger or this finger. That's more comfortable. This animal was one I didn't produce. I just purchased it. We wanted it. We put it in our breeding program to get a new genetic. So it just has a year when it was born. Look at this animal below. This is the same number I give to customers, so 150102. So I know it's from 2015, first clutch, second baby, and here's what it is. The cool thing is, as we go down the road, and I want to see if I need to outcross more, I can go back in my records and these numbers on my computer and see who are the parents of any one of these babies. So I can actually track that, so I can track how much I've done that and know when I need to outcross. I think that's important, and especially if you're going to do some genetics that maybe people don't want to work with because they're afraid of problems. That's how we're going to find out if it's viable and if it's not viable, or if it's because of outcrossing. I'm going to prove to you an example of why you can do that. I'm going to show you something going on right now. These are two snakes doing the nasty. And boy, that is about as clear of a lock as you can have two. What we have here, guys, is two pieds. Now, these are what most people would say are unrelated pieds. And what I mean by that is they come from two very different places. But here's the kicker. It's a recessive genetic. Most all pieds come from one place. If you track the genetics far enough back, they're all related. All of them that we know of. Therefore, what's going to happen is somewhere these guys share some ancestral DNA. Pieds have been inbred. So have albinos, so have clowns, so have exanthic. You name any recessive trait, and it's been inbred. It's been line bred. Because here's what happens. Guy gets import snake, or he doesn't think he's breeding. All of a sudden, something really funky pops out. And he goes, what is that? What? Or he gets, better example, let's say he gets an import snake that looks like, I don't know, pull this out. Let's pretend for just a second that this is a brand new morph. It's not, it's a black pastel banana. Okay, well, let's pretend that this is an import wild snake, and we go, whoa, it looks really cool. Man, I wonder if it's genetic. So we breed it out, right? Get some of that dirt off you there. We breed it out, and none of its siblings look like, none of its babies look like it. We just bred it to normal, and they all come out normal. So the next question goes, well, gee, maybe it's recessive. So guess what happens then? We take our champion dad here, we save back all of his daughters, we breed him to his own daughters. Then what's going to happen is that pops out as recessive. Oh, cool! So now we're going to be able to have those and sell those out. But guess what? That means all of those are related, because we're going to make hets with him. They all have a connection. They all share a single ancestor if you track that back far enough. That's just kind of the game. I mean, I don't know how if I can explain that, or hopefully it wouldn't get to be too convoluted of a mess as I talk about how that happens. That happened originally with good old-fashioned albinos, which is something else cool I want to show you. So right here, we have an albino to head albino breeding. And if you're breeding snakes, you start seeing this behavior here, that's not a lock, but we need to leave him be. See how those tails are pressed together? What's kind of going on right now was, let's pretend that you are out at the bar. Right now he's coming up being like, man, tell you what, I've never seen a woman with as pretty eyes as you. Wow, and oh man, such a beautiful top you're wearing. I don't know, I'm not that good at it. Can I buy you a drink? You know, maybe take you out to dinner, maybe I can get your number, call me maybe, all that crap. And that's what's happening right now. And if he does a good enough job, you know what I mean, then yeah, he's going to pay the bill. So, we're going to leave them be, let him keep wooing her, and see what happens. But all those recessives were done that way. They were all bred by taking one, breeding, making hets, breeding that back through, whether that's a scaleless project, whether it's anything. That's how it's done. Even on non-recessive, it's done because they want to see, is there a superform? What's a superform look like? It's just the way it happens. So yes, you can. That's a really long answer to a simple question. Yes, you can breed within that family tree, but you still have to bring in new blood to keep it genetically stable. So I hope that answers that question. Is there any other questions, Kurt?
Nope.
Alright guys, so what we're doing for breeding this year, hopefully we showed you a few things, what locks look like, you know, some of the things about males and females and when they're right to breed, and then time of year. Right now for us, because I know this video is going to get posted in a time, it's December, and some people say there's not a breed season, some people say there is a breed season. I have a theory on that, and my theory is it completely depends on where you live. Where I live, we have a season, the barometric pressure changes so much, that I have a time my males want to breed and a time they don't. Right now my males want to breed. That kind of starts for us about Halloween, 1st of November. Starts kind of getting pretty good right now, hit and miss as the weather's doing this in Kansas. Then as it stables out and it's cool, through January, February, and March, probably into April, they're going to lock like it's their job. And then, about June, April, sometime in there we'll start having some eggs, and eggs will last all the way up until, we've still got eggs cooking in our incubator that were laid on October, latest clutch I've ever had. And we'll start actually having babies, usually like early or late June, early July, maybe, and especially after that through about September, October, and in this case even December. So that's kind of how everything runs for us. Kurt, do you have any other questions?
No.
Alright guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully if you're going to start breeding, maybe it's your first time, I wish you all the luck and I hope you have a great successful season. Alright guys, we'll catch you next week.